contents of this presentation, but I will skip it to be quicker. First of all, it is well known that the use of pesticides is necessary in today's world because they protect the plants and thus increase the quantity and quality of necessary food for growing human population. But the use of pesticides have been excessive in the last few decades, and that is the reason why they can be detected in the environmental compartments like in air, water, and soil. When a pesticide is applied on a specific plant, it can be uptaken by that plant, or it can volatilize to the atmosphere. But the main problem of this paper and this presentation is the pesticides that lead to the groundwater, and thus they can later come to the surface water. Since groundwater is used for as a drinking source, it is very important that these pesticides are in very low concentrations in groundwater sources. What is important that soil is a good sorbent for the pesticides, and thanks to sorption and desorption by these soil particles, the concentration of pesticide is pretty low. And agricultural scientists, they tend to make pesticides and they watch about on their chemical composition, so they would stay in the upper part of the soil. And many researchers research the sorption behavior of pesticides, but they are focused on that upper part of the soil where you have a lot of organic matter, and that organic matter can absorb the pesticides very good. But my problem in this presentation are the groundwaters and the soil that is in contact with the groundwater, where you don't have so many organic matter. My colleague Srđan Kovačević already told about the sampling campaigns conducted by the Institute of Development for Water Resources, Jaroslav Černi, and he mentioned the sites where these samples were collected. I will just state that out of 15 targeted pesticides, only 6 of them were detected in surface and groundwaters. And the two most frequently detected pesticides were carbendazim and atrazine, which was banned almost 10 years ago, but can still be detected in the surface and groundwaters. As you can see on this, in this table, is that the percentage of detection of carbendazim in surface waters is around 30% of the samples, and there were around 180 samples where these pesticides were analyzed. I have to emphasize that these samples were analyzed at the Faculty of Technology and Metallurgy of University of Belgrade. As you can see, the range of concentration of carbendazim is 1 to 269 nanograms per liter, but this high concentration is only in one sample. In all other samples, concentrations were lower than 0.1 micrograms per liter. It means that these concentrations are below any detectable levels of the usual methods for analyzing pesticides. They are not usually detected. As for atrazine, it was detected in a lesser extent than carbendazim, but it was detected more in groundwater than in surface waters, which is logical because pesticides leak from the surface soil to the groundwater and then later get transported to surface waters. This range of concentrations from 1 to 165 is also, I have to emphasize that this high concentration was only in one sample, and all other samples had very, very low concentrations. That is why these two pesticides were selected for further analysis of sorption behavior. And these adsorption experiments were conducted on many different soil materials, but in this presentation I am going to talk about the experiments conducted on 63 micrometers to 1 millimeter of Danube River sediment particles. Initial solution concentrations of these pesticides was 10, 25, 50, 75, 100, and 250, and 500 ppbs. And I have to add one more pesticide that was also analyzed for this adsorption experiment, and it is carbofuran, which was detected in very few samples in very low concentration. But it was selected because it was detected in a few samples, and the idea was to see if the aquifer sand particles are responsible for retaining these pesticides. The results showed that the highest coefficient of sorption had exactly carbofuran, which was detected in the least number of samples. And it is very logical, because if it is retained by the sand particles in the groundwater, it cannot be detected in the groundwater, or it can be detected in a very low concentration. These are some graphs that show differences between linear Langmuir and Freundlich equations, and for lower concentrations, initial concentrations of pesticides, carbendazim, atrazine, and carbofuran, you can see that all of these models are very good for predicting the sorption behavior. One other thing that was done in this paper was multiple regression analysis, which was conducted by using literature data, and it cannot be compared to the results gained in these adsorption experiments, because as I already mentioned, sorption behavior is usually researched by agricultural scientists, and they tend to point out that the most of sorption happens on the organic matter and the clay, which is in soil. But we saw that coefficient of sorption for these pesticides is, for carbofuran, for example, is very high. So that we can only conclude that there are some other mechanisms that happen, and they are responsible for retaining these pesticides in the soil and keeping them from coming to groundwaters. And it needs to be studied even further to determine which is the dominant mechanism of keeping these pesticides in the soil and prevailing them from coming to the groundwater sources. And as I already stated, the results of the sorption experiments showed that the highest affinity for these sand particles of the alluvial aquifer had carbofuran pesticides, and the least affinity had atrazine, which is detected in many samples, and it is very, very logical. Plans for the future research is to study the sorption on different parts of soil, on clay materials, to see if there is some sorption process, to see if there is a sorption on clear sand particles, without any organic matter, because all of this research showed that these pesticides are retained in the surface, in the groundwater, where there is not much organic matter present. Thank you for your attention. I hope I was brief. If you have any questions, I'm here.